suggest is, before we break into questions, does anybody have questions based on the presentations for either Jonathan or Jérôme? It's okay.
Can I go for a quick one? Jérôme, thank you, great speech. Can I pick up on one thing you said about Tropo and Cisco and why you think they can never coexist in the same business?
Yeah, that's a good question. Cisco has been historical business with its own proprietary technology, or they have assembled some technology pieces here and there. But Tropo, which was built separately, had made separated choices. And it's not because you acquire such programming capabilities that you can plug those programmability capacity to the existing unified communication business or call center business. It doesn't work like that. The underlying telecom stack is not the same. They're not using, I don't know, maybe one is coded in Python and the rest in another technology. It does not communicate. Maybe we can elaborate on that. I don't know if we have a Nexmo and Vonage.
I can talk about some of that. I don't know now.
Well, go for it, absolutely.
So I think Jérôme's actually absolutely right. To a point. It's definitely, it would be highly unlikely for two companies for an acquisition to be built on exactly the same stack. And we get a bunch of engineers in the room who have built stuff. They're very passionate about it, right? So there's definitely some, let's call it technological inertia related to that. And that's the point that I agree to. And the point I disagree to is we're actually doing that. So on the UCaaS side of things, we're actually using the Nexmo APIs and SDKs to power on, for instance, like our Vonage Business Cloud product, which is very much like a Zoom or an Amazon collaboration tool. So we're using our Talkbox acquisition to power the video side of that. And actually on the NewVoiceMedia side, on the CTI pop-up, we're replacing a competitor's product, per se, with our WebRTC component. So it really depends, I think, at what layer you start the integration at. And if you use it at a component layer, you don't really have to go down to, let's say, the nuts and bolts, like whether it's built on Python or Java or whatever. So if you would want to integrate everything on exactly the same stack, absolutely, that becomes complicated. If you go one layer higher and use it on a component level, I think that's far more feasible, and that's actually what we're doing right now.
Yeah. And history has shown, I mean, they closed down Tropo, so it's no longer basically available. So it shows that the two, but I'd actually argue that it's a go-to-market issue in the fact that Cisco is very channel sales driven, and channel sales when one is to sell what. And it wasn't aligned to how they sell through into enterprises. Is that okay?
Yeah, you also have to probably look at culture of the two companies, right? That's probably the biggest impediment. I think of that particular case that you were talking about, you have two orthogonal cultures. Maybe that was the issue.
Lewis?
Yeah. Right. I listened to the TADSummit Americas panel, and I was very surprised to hear Tony, the Nexmo founder, say that there are alternatives to APIs. You cannot just go to, you can talk to a CTO or to a CIO about tech, but you cannot go run into a marketing guy or a sales guy and tell him you're going to grab 5 developers and now you're going to build the app of the century. So he didn't develop on that, but I would be curious to know what you all think. What this other thing is that is not taking developers. Is it like having like hybrid solutions? Is it like SaaS or targeted SaaS? Or what do you think it will be in the next
So beyond APIs,
Beyond APIs.
what can engage enterprises?
Right.
Is that a nice way of putting it?
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
I don't know. Who wants to take a first stab?
Sure.
Yeah, well, actually, I totally agree on that, and that's totally in line with the speech I just made. If you want to tap the full market potential, then you need to find easy ways to consume it at the operating level, so namely the marketing departments and so on. So you need, out of those APIs, to build solutions that they can use, and you can deliver them either as a product or as a service, a cloud service. Well, and if on top of that you can still offer some integration capabilities to those solutions, that's the way the market is going to move forward, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You know, Jonathan touched on it. This is such a massive market that's still expanding, right? So, I think I have to be careful of my BS meter. I've got Dean over there, I've got Alan beside us. I'm at arm's reach here. So, I mean, if we looked at like the embryonics of where things like CPaaS started, you know, I think it's almost like 3 phases. So we started very much on, let's say, the initial democratization of telecoms, right? The opening up of black box, availability of phone numbers, and then very like early RESTful calls. And then we went on to kind of the next phase, which was, you know, far more programmable comms, kind of stuff that Jérôme was talking about earlier. And this third wave, I think what we're alluding to here is, you know, how far does that democratization go? The initial stuff was really around developers running green screens, and then it was, you know, web scale type developers. Anybody could program in JavaScript and PHP. And then now that circle's expanding even further, right? You know, you're going to have non-technical people using a kind of WYSIWYG type drag and drop technologies, creating quite powerful workflows and communication infrastructure. So I think maybe Tony was alluding to that kind of stuff. I can't speak for him.
I remember having a very disappointing conversation with the CTO of an outsourced call centre in Scotland. As we went, they were in a via house, and they felt they were reasonably sophisticated. This was probably 12 years ago. And he just looked at me and said, well, I can build that myself. And I suppose today that's more true now than ever it was. And so the way we pitched ourselves, and all the businesses really, is as being world experts, outsourced world experts in what we do. Because most organisations don't necessarily have big dev teams with all the right skills at the right time. It just doesn't happen like that. So you can start to dictate slightly more based on the experience. But that's just me from a sort of cultural point of view rather than a technical point of view.
And again, if we look to the market, they're not here, but Senate Mobile, when we look at their CPaaS platform, and they offered a whole set of APIs, but that actually wasn't really what was used by most of the, when we say, it wasn't developers, it was generally small businesses. It was all the simple web forms. Jérôme, you were showing basically a simple web screen in terms of how you provision, set up the UC client. All the integrations now are very simple. Basically, you enter in code, then you have that particular integration done. So it's, and of course you have Node-RED and a whole range of other tools that, they are technologists. It's just, they don't necessarily want to have to deal with not just the code, but the management of that code going forward.
And there are some very, as you probably know better than I do, but scripting languages where you can almost use natural language to program technologies, CPaaS type technologies. Certainly we're developing on Babl, where you can just write. I can essentially write, I want to do this with a phone call, and it just goes and does it. God knows how, I have no idea. I don't care.
Magic.
It must be magic.
Any other questions from this? Ivana? Then we have lots of questions here, so I'll just pick on one, because it's an acronym that's been said several times now, which is UCaaS, Unified Communication as a Service. Will it ever achieve its dream?
What's the dream?
to be the unified communication platform for all enterprises. So all my communications happen through this client, wherever it sits.
Well, so I think there are two words within the UCaaS. There is UC and there is as a service. So there might be two answers and maybe many more answers to that, but there are two perspectives on the questions. Why should it be UC more than collaborative or any other type of solutions? That's a way to get into the market, and there are very strong players in this area. But you have also the Microsoft and the Zoom and many collaboration tools that are in the end competing in the same area. So I believe that we will have what we call communication solution more generally over time. So maybe UC will get into it, probably, but it will not own the market. It will be a component. Now, will it be as a service or on-premise? I believe there are two extremes, and there are a wide range of gray shades in between, depending on your needs. If you need control or if you need quick solution, of course you enter your credit card details, you see, and that's great for small companies. But if you're a larger organization, then at some point you need integrations, and maybe you may choose for other options.
Exactly, and there's a whole country and industry vertical, so there's many reasons that can sort of put you at one of those positions in that scale.
I think it's a bit of a philosophical question. Can one any technology or provider be as pervasive and so on? Probably not. I mean, maybe that's like an asymptotic dream. One way we tried to, because if you think about UCaaS, often it's like, oh, this is really cool, but my one kind of business workflow does this, and I have to change my business process around the tool, which kind of sucks. So I think that's probably something you're alluding to there. But like one way we try to address that is we have our UCaaS, our Vonage Business Cloud product, which are just applications, and to get around that, well, it doesn't really work for this part of the business flow. We confront the whole UCaaS proposition with the CPaaS proposition. So we have programmable numbers. So everything that you can do on the kind of Nexmo programmable stack is now in front of the UCaaS application. So I think that goes a long way to create a more flexible, more workable solution for enterprises. So that's kind of one. That's been the third answer.
No, that's good. So then just hopping around a little bit, looking now at omnichannel. So now, it's an important topic, it's flavor of the month. We're now contacting customers in a whole range of different ways, across voice, messaging, sort of video, as you were mentioning with Talkbox, and all the different flavors within there as well. So with omnichannel, does this leave the customer even more exposed to fraud, given all the different channels of communication? I'm going to pick on you first.
Okay. So people who don't know me, I'm Abhijeet. I work for Telesign. Anybody knows Telesign here? Yeah. Oh, a few. Okay, so the reason why Aaron has picked me to answer that question is because I've been doing anti-fraud and security in telecommunications for the last 14 years. I was part of Sundex, which develops telecommunications for management solutions, and BIX, where I actually was product manager for their anti-fraud services, and now Telesign recently. I think if it's a statement, I'm not supporting. If it's a question, then I'll say that it's not the strategy of doing omnichannel, which leads to users or businesses more exposed to fraud, but actually the way it's done, where the security is not there by design, is not there. I mean, it comes as an afterthought, right? You develop. I mean, the thought is very noble. I mean, you want to approach or communicate with the customers in the easiest way possible, in the most preferred way they would want it to be done, right? But how it's implemented is let's say, let's do it and see if there are some problems which come up, right? That's how it's done right now. And the problem with that is that fraudsters, when they, or hackers, when they find or think about, or when if you give them avenues to do fraud, they will definitely go and catch it, right? And in that world, the information spreads. Let's say if there is a gap in your omnichannel strategy, and if there is a way people can fish information from the subscribers, they will just go ahead and spread the news in the fraudster world, right? And that's what is concerning, right? So I think if the security is built by design, this is a very noble thought which can be implemented really well, right? One more thing which I would like to add is, I mean, if you look at businesses, and this is the biggest risk which I see. If you look at the internet, and you'll find businesses having set up their pages and then communication, let's say strategies there. They have Twitter handles, they have Facebook pages, they have messenger strategies and things like that, which you would term as omnichannel. But you will, if you will find, pages which are very similar, or let's say spoofed, representing the businesses which are building that, they actually exceed the legitimate business pages by 3 times. Yeah. So expect, and if you are a user, and if you actually get contacted by your telecommunications provider, or let's say your bank, yeah, which has a Facebook page, saying that, okay, share your credit card number because something has happened, half of the users will actually go ahead and do that. Yeah. Because not every user is so that's educated, right? And that is the problem which platform providers or the people who actually provide technology around let's say omnichannel strategy have to solve as to how to differentiate a legitimate business from a fake page or fraudsters.
Any comments from Jonathan in your experience?
I'm really no expert, I'm afraid. I'd love to be. I'm a great believer in omnichannel, and I can see the challenges. It makes life a lot easier. We battled with it big time at NewVoiceMedia as we do the security at Speakserve. Recently, we won a massive piece of business. This isn't quite omnichannel, but it's quite a funny story. Where one of our American competitors, we won this big global business with a company. Actually, I won't mention their name; it's not public yet. And they got an LA office, and they came in on Monday morning to a $20,000 conference call bill. It turned out the local prisoners in the LA prison had broken into it. We're dialing out from the men's prison to the women's prison. So it's and run up all these bills, which was great for us. But no, it's obviously a massive problem. I'm no expert. And with the way we got around in NewVoiceMedia, in terms of omnichannel, as you well know, and I have to say this was my idea actually, because although I didn't know how to do it, we had a great guy who still works for you called Paul Turner. He and I sat down and we integrated with Salesforce.com, which is the natural thing to do, and that filled a lot of the gaps that we had around omnichannel at the time. And I suspect still does.
I think maybe to answer your question honestly, it probably does. I think if you open up any new communication channel with customers, you naturally increasing the opportunity of vectors to do some of the stuff that you were talking about. But I agree 100% with you. This should be part of the offering. It should be part of the design. It should be security first designs. And I think what's social channels are, or later, are really coming to the fore. And as we know, social channels will be the biggest vectors where you could do this kind of phishing or fraud. So absolutely, it should be a security by design approach.
Yeah, it's something that needs to be dealt with prior to put the service on the market for sure, because one of the components is telecom, and it has been historically hacked. And if you do not pay attention to that, then you get built, your capacity is hijacked, and it goes so fast, and we're talking about hundreds of Ks of whatever currency that can fly away over the weekend.
Yes.
So you need to monitor that very cleverly. And I believe, well, we're working on having some also artificial intelligence to assist for the monitoring, to observe if there is some abnormal comportment, behavior within the infrastructure or things like that. So you need to do something upfront before that, and you need also to monitor that very closely over time.
Exactly.
I just saw Simon smiling, so it's probably a good question for him.
Exactly. We were discussing that on another panel last month. Any other questions out there from the audience? Oh, go for it, Dean.
As we become more mobile first, is it the responsibility of the application platform to think more about connectivity? So we're currently in a basement where the Wi-Fi is good if and when you can log onto it, and I've got 1 bar of 3G on my phone, which means any application hosted or enabled by your platform probably won't work. What's the panelists' views on how to measure, manage, fix, assist on the connectivity?
Are you taking me out to talk about tele?
Potentially, yes, but that's rural rather than digital.
Yeah, it's rural for the moment. Dean, you could answer that question better than anybody in this room.
Are you tying together those two things? Have you actually, or are they in your mind two very separate bubbles? Or are you looking at the overlap on that Venn diagram?
Which two bubbles are you referring
Both
to?
the connectivity and the CPaaS or CXTech, whatever you call it.
It goes back to the old debates about the infrastructure and the content, really, doesn't it? And I guess the truth is that if you're a content provider, owning the infrastructure and being responsible for the infrastructure is very different. Or have I missed the point?
Yeah, but it's more, are you at least monitoring it, measuring it, mitigating the problems, looking at ways to sort of bring the two worlds together?
There's a can and should. I think the application provider absolutely should do that. You look at a lot of the tools that you use and it gives you a little thing in the bottom right hand corner, whether that's happening in the mobile market or not. Enough, I would pretend not. It's obviously very frustrating, and you're one of the great champions of it globally. I think,
I'm actually almost more interested in the other panelists. Is this your
Well,
or is it someone else's problem?
Well, in terms of voice, you can use VoIP, but if the network is not good enough, then you switch to the network. That's the way you can bring an answer. Then, if you have no network, well, it's getting hard to communicate at some point.
If I may jump in, from my time at Lidl, there was one thing we worked a lot on that I quite surprised that it's true. I haven't seen many other platforms. Is that we used to have a mobile app that will talk to our servers and will real time adapt based on the network condition. And today it's true that a lot of the XaaS platform that I see that like the mobile app is like one thing. It's kind of what you were talking about when you were talking about the programmable compared to the off-the-shelf, where you have two technology and you can kind of make them work together, but they are not really integrated. And you do see that a lot. I come from a mobile-first kind of a background, and you see that a lot where mobile apps are done totally independently from the backend, and you can use SIP, but it's not really. It won't adapt to the network conditions, and a lot of the work we used to do at Lyman was to actually make those two work, so the back end and front end. And the mobile app will adapt depending on what's going on with the Wi-Fi, the connection, the proxies, etc. It's true. I don't know if you are working on that from the mobile offering.
I would like to add to that, and maybe a bit controversial, because Alan at the start of the session mentioned that why 5G, 4G is good enough. I think the story around 4G and the marketing around 4G has spoiled the whole concept of movement to 5G so much that we don't believe that it's going to make some change. Yeah. But
No, I'm not referring to 5G.
yeah, I'm just what I'm saying is that 5G, the reason why telecommunications operators are investing a lot in that newer technology is because that is going to improve the connectivity. Yeah. I mean, and that's the reason why I say it's a bit controversial. But the point here is that right still with 4G you need heavy equipment to support let's say
5G is going to be worse in many ways.
Could be. But
Optimistic team.
yeah. But if it is I mean properly deployed, I mean the concept, the dream of those picocells and femtocells which actually came into limelight with 4G is actually going to work in 5G, and I expect that the problems, 10 years down the line or 5 years down the line are not going to be so much what we actually have right now.
But I think to answer Dean's question, or trying to at least, I don't think it's a technology question. I think it's an expectation question. So let's say you're using WhatsApp, and we're down here, there's no mobile signal. But your first instinct is not to say, Jesus, WhatsApp idiots, like my service is not working, right? As a consumer of consumer services, you already have a bifurcated.
I think more enterprise than you.
Exactly.
Now imagine we're in a warehouse, we're in a retail environment, we're in a factory, we're in a hospital.
So that's what I'm going with. So that's why I'm saying it's more of a commercial agreement. So on one side you could say, well, I don't want to be prescribed the connectivity for your application because that kind of feels weird. I already have this relationship with another provider. Or you say, I want, and I think this is what you're alluding to, correct me if I'm wrong, who has the end-to-end responsibility? Like you're providing a service, like just because the bit of copper / spectrum doesn't work at the end, the application's useless then, right? So I think maybe the answer is the expectations of those customers, enterprise customers, either using a third party as an SI to guarantee that kind of end-to-end experience from an integrator. Certainly on the CPaaS side, that doesn't really make much sense. Although within our SDKs, we do measure things like reachability, availability, packet loss, and all that kind of stuff, so at least we can allow our developers to check that kind of stuff.
So
I think there's a question of carriers kind of opening up here, because what we did back at Selmer was kind of converging the internet communications with telecommunications. So if you use the same number space, you can easily make a fallback from legacy that's available over IP and back and forth. You just, you need to downgrade video to voice, but once it's voice, you can do that. But essentially, the capability we had was enabled by the underlying operator we were running on top, right? So we were integrated in the network, and we could do this kind of fallback. It wasn't really seamless, but it was kind of working within one session. And I guess all of the providers here, Wazo integrated somewhere, or Nexmo as well, could do that on the carrier they're running on, if they would expose that capability by APIs, right? But as long as the carrier network kind of doesn't, expose the capabilities or allow others to actually leverage their network also from the back end if they need to use it, right? I think it's much harder to get I think the guys from Workgroup 2 are as well doing that, but to kind of bridge a call started on IP when you don't have connectivity over to using the legacy leg, but still connect directly on the back end to the enabler platform is something where there's a lot of potential also for carriers. But I think as long as the network is closed, and as long as these kind of silos run separately, you're essentially left with either you have IP connectivity or you don't, right? And it works or it doesn't. And it's on the SDK side you can do only so much, but if you can integrate on the native client on the device, for example, and if the carrier doesn't open this backend for accessing this stack, yeah, you don't have much choice. It's all connectivity in the end, right? If you don't have it, then you can't do it.
But I think there are some stuff, like, again, being alluded to that, there's some stuff on the application side, like on our application side of the business, we do often things like SD-WAN, where you have two providers and failover. And so, yes, I think there's exactly right. So there's definitely a demarcation or kind of an extension of that responsibility in the application. So
what I suggest is we now take a break till 11. So upstairs there's coffee, biscuits, tea. So go and grab something, and we'll get a few more chairs set up around here to accommodate the overflow. Again, thanks so much to the panel. Sorry.